You support Hamas, do you not?
Senator, oddly enough, I'm going to say thank you for that question because it demonstrates the purpose of our hearing today in a very effective way.
Let's start first with a yes or no.
Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization that I do not support, but you asking the executive director of the Arab American Institute that question very much puts the focus on the issue of hate in our country.
Well, I got your answer, and I appreciate it. What is the
Before we get into this, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who still believes Washington tells the truth, and subscribe to Stateline so you don't miss what they don't want you to see. Now watch carefully because this exchange wasn't about gotcha questions or grandstanding. It was about whether public figures can plainly condemn terrorism when the camera is on.
And according to your website, you're also, I'm going to quote here, a longtime Democratic Party activist who served as a member of the 2016 Democratic National Convention's Platform Standing Committee, close quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You support Hamas, do you not?
Senator, oddly enough, I'm going to say thank you for that question because it demonstrates the purpose of our hearing today in a very effective way.
Let's start first with a yes or no.
Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization that I do not support, but you asking the executive director of the Arab American Institute that question very much puts the focus on the issue of hate in our country.
Well, I got your answer, and I appreciate it. What is the you support Hezbollah too, don't you?
Again, I find this line of questioning extraordinarily disappointing,
Is that a
Senator.
no?
That
Or
you have Arab American constituents that you represent in your great state.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that, but my time's limited, and I apologize, but is that a yes or a no?
A yes or no question to do I support Hezbollah? The answer is I don't support violence, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, or any other entity that invokes it.
You can't
so
bring
no,
yourself to say no, can you?
No, I can say no. I can say yes.
But
what I can say is your line of questioning.
Do you
Senator,
support or oppose Iran and their hatred of Jews?
Again, I'm going to emphasize Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, none of them is going to,
You can't bring yourself to say no, can
Sir,
you?
I don't support.
It's real simple.
Excuse me, I'm going to, if I may, as a Muslim woman, sir, I'm going to tell you I do not support Iran. But what I will tell you is that this conversation.
I'm running out of time. I'm sorry. You called our decision to cut funding. You called our decision to cut fund. Well, first, what's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency?
It's UNRWA, which is the institution that exists to provide services and aid to the nearly 6 million Palestinian refugees.
And you called our decision to cut funding for them, quote, an incredible moral failure, close quote.
That is absolutely correct. But again, I would suggest that conversation is about foreign policy.
We did that because 9 UNRWA staff members were fired for actually helping Hamas on October 7th. Isn't that the case?
I don't believe that that's correct in terms of...
Let me ask you one more time. You support Hamas, don't you? You support UNRWA and Hamas, don't you?
Sir,
please.
I think it's exceptionally disappointing that you're looking at an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not support Hamas.
Bring yourself
I do not support Hamas.
You don't support UNRWA. You don't support Hamas. You don't.
I was very clear in my support for UNRWA.
Hezbollah, and you don't support Iran. You should hide your head in a bag.
This was a C-SPAN hearing that cut straight through the usual Washington doublespeak. Senator John Kennedy asked what should have been the simplest question imaginable. Do you support Hamas, yes or no? The witness, a prominent Arab American activist and Democratic Party insider, had every opportunity to answer cleanly. Instead, what followed was a masterclass in deflection, accusation, and moral evasion. She eventually acknowledged that Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization, but not before reframing the question as an example of hate in America. That's the pattern we've seen again and again. When confronted with extremism, the response isn't condemnation, it's grievance. Kennedy didn't stop there. He asked about Hezbollah. Same dance. No clear no. Just broader statements about opposing violence in general, as if that were the same thing as naming and rejecting a terrorist group. Then came Iran. Again hesitation. Again reframing. Again an unwillingness to offer a direct answer until the pressure became impossible to avoid. This matters because these aren't random questions. These are groups that have murdered civilians, targeted Jews, and openly call for the destruction of Israel. Condemning them should not require speech, a lecture, or sociological analysis. The conversation then turned to UNRWA, the United Nations agency tied to Palestinian aid. The witness called America's decision to cut funding an incredible moral failure. Kennedy responded with the fact the media glosses over. UNRWA staff were fired for allegedly helping Hamas on October 7th. That's not an abstract debate. That's taxpayer money potentially flowing to people connected to terrorism. Instead of addressing that directly, the witness again treated the question itself as offensive. And that's the heart of the issue. In modern political culture, clarity is treated as cruelty, and accountability is treated as bigotry. Kennedy wasn't asking her to condemn an ethnicity or a religion. He was asking her to condemn terrorists. The fact that this became controversial tells you everything you need to know. This is why Americans are losing trust in institutions, hearings, and so-called experts. If leaders and activists can't say, "I do not support Hamas," without qualifiers, then the problem isn't the question. It's the answer.